We have tons to talk about today. This is going to be a great podcast, guys.
Yes.
A great podcast. This is our last one of 2020. This has been a roller coaster of a year, to say the least. Super crazy in the theater world, in the movie world, and we are going to recap all of it, as well as talk about our recent movies that we just watched this week. We got a bunch of stuff to get into, so let's just get into it. This is episode 38 of the Soundflick podcast.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I am your co-star, Norik Thascool, and to the bottom of my screen, I have
Mike.
Yeah, and to the left of my screen.
Yo, what's good, guys? It's your boy, Freddie Flautas, a sincere young Flacco out here. It's your boy chilling. I actually started working on a Freddie Flautas design. So that's cool.
Nice. You gonna get some Freddie Flautas merch?
I just want like a cool like you know when you come to and you see like Alberto's, Alertos, like something similar.
Alfredo's, all of them.
Yeah, all the Al's. Yeah. So I was thinking something like that, but then kind of like my spin on it. So yeah, it's gonna be cool. But what's good, guys? I'm very excited about today's pod. It's been a good year, good and bad. We'll talk about it. Who knows? We might go a little bit over, but this will be a good pod.
It's going to be a very, very good pod. I hope you guys had good holidays. I hope you guys got to, kick it with family and stuff.
Yeah, let's talk about the amazing food Norik made. Yo, okay. So I was scrolling on Instagram and I see right here just posting like he's on MasterChef.
Bro, I was out here this Christmas. Usually you kind of have like the typical stuff for Christmas, like the hams and all that kind of thing, the casseroles and all that. And my mom, she hit me like a week ago and she was like, we got to do something different this year. We got to cook. Like, I want to be cooking all day. We got to whip something up. And I was like, okay. So I spent like a week just kind of looking at recipes, and I found this BuzzFeed article that had a few French Christmas recipes.
French.
Yeah, right. And I was like, oh, oui. All right. Okay. We here. I wanted to get a little hoity-toity, a little fancy there.
That's crazy.
And so they had duck fat roasted potatoes. And I was like, okay.
That is good.
Yeah, Norik told me, he was like, I use duck fat. And I was just like, okay, I see you.
Bro, I had no idea. I've never done that before. So I was like, okay, cool. So we had the duck fat roasted potatoes, and then we did some delicata squash. We roasted that also. And then we have filet mignon. And bro, I made that steak beautifully, just to perfection. Like I put it at 275. Threw it in the oven for about 50 minutes. It was like that nice pink all the way through.
Right.
Man, topped it with garlic shrimp and a béarnaise sauce.
Yeah. Fire.
It was crazy, bro. It was crazy.
I also live for the holidays.
Oh, that's a classic.
I had multiple tamales. We made green chili tamales. We made regular beef tamales, and then we made beef, bean, and cheese tamales, which are my favorite.
Nice.
I'm not sure how everybody feels about beans, but like I love beans. So yeah, it's crazy.
Beans are delicious.
Yeah, beans are bomb. I mean, I don't like kidney beans, like the big ones that you put like in chili beans, but no, yeah, regular pinto beans or black beans. I usually prefer smashed. Bomb. So far.
Yeah, I feel that. See, in Trinidad, we have a thing kind of like tamales. They're called pastels. And they're wrapped in banana leaves, but very, very similar.
I had tamales wrapped in banana leaves, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think they're better.
Me too.
And leaves more moisture, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. With the husk, you usually have to know how to do it proper. Like a lot of people would just put dry meat. It's better if you kind of use like a really fatty meat that has like fats dripping out or like extra sauce with it. So that way by the time you're done cooking them, it's a whole science, bro.
For real. No, I respect it. I respect anybody who's whipping those up. And I hope everybody who's listening had their fair share of tamales or pastels or however you eat them, beef patties, whatever. But the dinner was fire, though. Oh, and then we made an apple cranberry crumb dessert I didn't post that, but
We should do the
fire.
Soundflick kitchen. That would be crazy.
Well, Skywalker Mike will win though. Like he went to culinary school.
I didn't know it was a competition. I'm just trying to eat food. I didn't know it was
Always a competition.
Oh, it is always a competition with us. You know this, Sincere.
Yeah,
but I'm down.
He's a chef.
That's one of the things that's been good about 2020 is I've really, really caught the cooking bug. You know, like I'm so into cooking, trying new things out now. Like my Cuisinart has been used like so much, and I'm over here roasting and learning stuff. And I'm by no means a professional at all, but I do have like a natural knack to like season and flavor things like just in a crazy way. Like the more I learn about that kind of stuff, like I just learned about tarragon.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, okay. Started using that. Use that in the béarnaise sauce. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Oh Lord.
Out there. There's a lot to experiment with in food. And I mean, more than your everyday ingredients in your kitchen, you know. But
yeah,
that's cool, man.
I mean, making food is like making music.
Yeah, it is.
You know, it's like you're making a song and like it's kind of stressful. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I'm like, man, I got to make sure that these timings are right. And like all this is coming out in the right way and all this stuff. And it just reminds me of when I'm recording a song or making a song. But when it comes out perfect and you just hear that perfect mix, and you're like, yo, it's a banger.
Yeah.
It's a slap.
Yeah. Well, that was good. I'm glad you guys had a good, happy holidays, you know. But let's get into, before we get into anything, let me tell you guys our agenda for the day. For those who don't know, we are doing a Soundflick Awards today.
Hey,
the Flickies.
Yeah, it's unofficial name right now, but it's
working on that. Shout out Skywalker Mike for that.
Yeah,
it reminds me of his. Yeah, true. It reminds me of The Office, like when it's like the Dundies. So the Flickies is pretty cool.
I didn't even think about that. I figured just add the E's at the end, and
isn't that what everybody does?
Emmys. But this is gonna be the Flickies. There's not gonna be like a clear-cut winner for each category because I mean, it's our show, so I guess we could do whatever we want. But we each have our selections that we're going to pick for each category. And we're also going to talk about some recent movies, like Marique had mentioned, and cap off 2020 best we could. So, I mean, we can get into some movie talk real quick if you guys
let's do it.
Let's
do it. We watched 3 different movies for this pod. Usually you guys get 2. We got 3 fire movies.
Usually, I feel like
2.5.
Since the pandemic hit, we would always do like different movies. It would be like, all right, I went to go see 4 movies. Let's do it on the pod. But this year obviously is a little different, and that slowed down, so we had to improvise. But I'm glad we got some blockbusters at the end of the year too.
Me too.
About.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So, let's kick it off. First movie that we saw before Christmas was previewed on Netflix. It was a movie that we've talked about briefly on this podcast before. It got moved because of the untimely death of Chadwick Boseman, but it finally was released on Netflix, and that is Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, starring Viola Davis and Chadwick Boseman. And it was, wow, what a film.
Yeah.
What a film.
I honestly did not know what to expect from the movie because I didn't see a trailer. I'm not sure if a trailer came out, but I would always see like the picture of them in the practice space when they're in the basement. I would see that picture, so I was like, is this movie going to take place in there the whole time? And it kind of did, but I still didn't know what to expect from the movie. One, because I didn't really know the history of Ma Rainey. I
didn't know who she was at all. Like prior,
even in the movie, they talk about how she's not like the biggest blue star. She's popular, and a lot of people like her. But there was somebody else who was bigger than her.
Bessie Smith was who was bigger than her. But I guess she was before Bessie, and they called her the mother of blues. And it was just one of those stories where, you know, we kind of hear it in music a lot. There are just people who are pioneers, and then you have people who do it to the masses, or do it, I don't want to say do it right, but just like do it in the most way that they can at that time. And she was one of those pioneers, so she didn't necessarily get the credit because she didn't look the part. She wasn't marketable for their standards at that time, but her voice was so unique and her songwriting was so from the heart, and you know, kind of talking about life, that I'm just so happy that the film got made and now people are going to know about her. And
I think just a little bit more about the blues in general. I know there's movies out there about the blues. I guess not a lot of people have seen them, but the thing about this one is it's so easily accessible because it's on a platform like Netflix, and almost everybody has Netflix. So, I mean, it was really good, and especially everybody wanted to watch it because it was the last feature film from Chadwick Boseman. So it was a good send off too for him. Like,
he went out with a bang, bro. Like, with all due respect, he went out with a bang. That was a phenomenal performance from him.
The range, bro.
I mean, he kills every role that he taps into. You know, he was just built different.
Yeah, There are just a few actors who, like, there's some that they'll just, and this, I guess, is just in life also. There are just some people who they'll do what's asked of them. You know, they'll do, you know, this is what it calls for. This is what I'm going to do. And then there's the actors and other people who have passions who just take it up a notch. They think of, what can I do to really, really bring this to life? How can I add certain things to it? How can I experience it myself so that it can become like the realest representation possible? And Chadwick was one of those actors.
Make it me, you know?
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, he really took it to the limit. I was watching the featurette after the movie. I was talking about it with Enrique too. And there was a part where they were talking about Chadwick. And obviously he wasn't in the featurette because this was, I think it was a few months after the movie had came out. So he wasn't involved. But they talked about him a lot. And they talked about how he learned to play the trumpet because he wanted to take it to the next level, you know? So he hit up, I think it was I don't want to get it wrong, but it was the guy who would help with the instruments. And he's like, hey, can you draw me a finger chart? So
I think his name was Alan, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was Alan who did the majority of the music for that movie.
Yeah. So like when Chadwick asked him that, he was like, really? He was like, all right. And he just, no hesitation, did the finger chart for him. And he said he learned it like super quick. So, so
yeah.
I mean, yeah.
It's just taking it there. And like, I think that's the beauty of movies and us as movie lovers. Like, we love to see actors go all the way with something, you know, and it's just unfortunate that some of the ones that have gone all the way have passed away as well. No correlation, but it's just like they put their heart and soul into every film, and that takes a lot of energy out of a person. You know, but you get such a benefit from learning that, like whether it's Keanu Reeves learning all of the, you know, all of the guns, learning how to shoot and learning how to fight because of the movies that he's being cast in. You can easily get a double, but if you can show that, like, yo, I'm prepared to learn this and put in the time, you just gain more skills out of it. You know, you gain more skills, you gain more knowledge, and you also get paid to do that. Like, that's crazy, you know, for that, you know, for that. But Sincere, how'd you feel about Ma Rainey?
I didn't know how to feel, bro. So like going into it, I think the main shot I heard from like the trailer is when you bust through the door, like into the little brick wall space. So I was like, okay, this is gonna be like about blues. I was like trying to kind of go into it. And then it kind of just blew me away, bro, from kind of seeing how he wants to step out to him. I think the emotion was really well put together as far as the flow of them messing around in the band room, right? Kind of talking shit to one another, and to him going into story about how his mom was raped and basically what his dad had to do and why his business the way he was, and this is how I talk to the white man, and you know what I mean, like stuff like that. I think the flow was just super crazy, and I like the aesthetic of when they're walking around outside because it reminded me of The Great Gatsby.
Yeah,
remember how like clean and how visually like healing that movie was, like at least.
Yeah, I think this movie took place in the 20s or the 30s.
It's 20s. Yeah, 20s. And I believe the director said that he wanted it to be like a hot day in Chicago. And so he made the sun white, he made the sky white. Yeah. And it was just like that. It was so just like you can feel the heat from the characters, you can see them sweating, and we already know how heat gets to us. I could only imagine what it was like in such a hostile, kind of environment.
Especially,
and what was
like, oh yeah,
go ahead.
Finish.
No, I was just saying, especially, in Chicago and to not receive the air conditioning, these places weren't air conditioned like that. You know what I mean? There wasn't central air like that. You really just had your fan that would just circulate the air that's there. And that's all you got, especially with, with Black people and them not having access to certain things during that time. It's just such a peculiar time in our, American history, because Black people were free, although they weren't receiving the same kind of treatment that everyone else was. And for them to touch on specifically race records and how the music industry was taking Black music because all of these new Black people were free and ready to be consumers to them, and then not giving them their just due, was really at the crux and the center of this movie. And the way that they portrayed that with all of this heat and tension I thought was brilliant.
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention. Just the way they were being treated in the studio, like Chadwick's character really wanted to record these songs with a band, and he was writing them for the lead person in the studio, and he kept telling him, yeah, when you get a band together you can record these. And just the way things turn out, with the heat on top of that, and being a Black man in America, just supposedly you're free, but yet you're still not giving the opportunities as the white man, and him envying the white man, him being poked at, that he's scared of the white man, all that bothered him, and it got to him and pretty much everybody else, so and then you mentioning him breaking through the door is kind of like it's kind of figurative, like he wanted to see what's on the other side of the door, but you don't need, like, before you get to what's on the other side of the door, you have to figure out like what you have in front of you at first, and you don't know what's on the other side of the door. Even when you open that door, there could be nothing, it's just a wall. You hit a wall and that's it.
And that was just brilliant from the director to kind of do that. I didn't think that this movie was going to dive into Chadwick Boseman's character, Levy. I didn't think that he was going to be the focal point. But as I was watching the movie and I realized, oh, this is only going to take place in this studio. Like, and you can tell because every character had a chance to have a dialogue that gave you a little bit more information about them as it went through. So it became less about what they were doing and more about like who they are as people and what led them to this place. And that to me was very like theater-esque, like it was almost like a play. Yeah. And the person who wrote these films, he wrote Fences, and which is a play style movie as well that had James Earl Jones, and then later Denzel Washington starred in a rendition of that movie as well. And it's about the life, not even the life, a day in people's lives.
Yeah.
And it's really cool to create an entire movie about just one day, because aside from the from earlier seeing, the beginning of like seeing Ma Rainey perform. This all takes place. That was really cool, man. That was so cool in the tents and like with everyone there.
And that actually happened. Like it was a thing. Like it wasn't a set.
Why are these boys running through the woods? And
yeah, I was a little worried at that part. Like when they were running, I was like, oh man, they're gonna just start off with them getting chased down by some white people and something's gonna happen. Like, damn. But it was refreshing when they were going to the show.
You know? That's what they wanted, you know. They wanted to show, all right, this is gonna be one of those movies, and then it's like, no, it's not. It's not one of those.
Yeah. No. Yeah, man. So, you know, I was really, really it was just really, really great. You see the downfall of Chadwick Boseman's character, you know, of Levy, of just going from on top of the world, ambitious, optimistic, all the way down to where he feels like his whole world is shattered.
And he's being used.
And same thing, there's a parallel with Ma Rainey and her being used as well. And her downfall isn't as dramatic as Levy's, but it was insinuating that once these songs are recorded and once this is out, they're not going to need her anymore to do anything else.
Yeah.
And so she kind of felt that at the end of it, it was over for her too, as she drives back home and continues the rest of her life. So there was just a lot of drama, man. It was great.
Yeah. No, yeah. It really showed even musicians back then. And, you know, like Levy was selling his songs for 50 cents.
Bro.
You know, and I was like, wow, 50 cents a pop.
$5, right?
$5? There was I think it was even then.
Yeah. Well, think about it. His shoes cost $11.
And he said it took him like half his earnings, or it took because he made a bet with somebody, or what?
Yeah, he made
Cutler.
With Cutler.
He got like half the money to get the shoes, and he used the rest of them. So yeah, like I mean, just the way they're being used. I mean, just the blues, the way they're being used. You know, the white man didn't understand what the blues were. They just knew it was catchy, but it wasn't really about that. It was to show the emotions that Black people felt when they were enslaved, and now that they're not enslaved, that's the way they can cope and talk about it, you know, and enjoy each other's company and, you know, have fun. But I mean, the white people always have to. I mean, back then, white people always had to take what wasn't theirs and supposedly made it better, but not even better, just likable to the white audience in a setting that related to them, which is getting a white blues band and pretty much getting the songs that Levy wrote and translate into that. And that at the end, it really,
oh man, that was hard. That was hard, man. Yeah. So, you know, with something like that, it's just so interesting because Black people have contributed. They've done the due diligence to know how they feel and been able to translate that into art and then present that to America as our contribution. And blues was able to do that, and jazz was able to do that, and hip hop is able to do that, and rock is able to do that. And all of those things were birthed by Black people and the struggles that they were going through to get the opportunity. And like, that's the thing, like, it's the opportunity. Like, these people, even in the film, they couldn't help but work with this company. You know, it was Paramount that they were working with, like they owned the studio.
Oh, okay.
And it was just like the opportunity of being heard by thousands and thousands of people is something you just can't pass up. But not being paid correctly to do it is just so disheartening. And you really have to have a passion for what you do, or just a reason for you doing it that goes beyond what you're being paid for. And I think that translates to all the way to today, you know, because musicians and people who work on music, whether you're engineers or DJs or producers, are still underpaid for what they're actually giving to society.
Pennies,
you know what I mean?
Pennies on the dollar.
Pennies on the dollar with Spotify, with streaming. So we're still seeing the same things that record labels were doing back then applied to Black people today without proper ownership, without, proper representation. They're having, these artists are getting killed on the streets. They're dying over overdose, and these record companies, whether they're white led or not, majority are, but they're just over here benefiting from all of this destruction that's happening within a community, and they aren't helping, they aren't paying them correctly. And I just think it's very, very interesting because we as artists are like, we love this thing, we expect so much out of it. And it's just like, damn, when you get there and you think it's going to happen and it is just regular, or you have to do it again the next day, like in Soul,
we'll definitely tap into that more with Soul, because
it's crazy.
It has similar stories, in a sense. At a certain point of the movie, it has similar story to Ma Rainey's entire story. But overall, what do you guys give the movie?
Sincere, you want to go?
I'm afraid to give mine first. No, I give the movie a 9.
That's pretty high.
Yeah, I give it a 9. I don't think it was like a perfect movie, but it was really well executed from the amount of people used, the space used. Viola Davis killed it. I think it kind of sparked people talking about Viola Davis from what I was seeing like on Twitter. But she killed it. Chadwick per usual, and then the supporting actors as well. Especially just like the band, you get those OGs that kind of just like know how to. You get those OGs that kind of just know how to bullshit, and it's like to them it's not even acting. You just kind of feel like that's that person. Yeah. So I think everybody did a really good job of putting their characters together and whatnot. So I think
Viola Davis, just real quick, Viola Davis knocked that out the park. She did exactly what Chadwick did in learning the character. How does the character move? How does her makeup look? The dress, like she didn't put on weight, but like she wore something that made her look heavier so that she can take up the type of space and command the type of space that the character called for. She continues to impress me every time. And I feel like that she doesn't necessarily get her just due, because a lot of her early movies that they would put her in is like movies that revolved around the Black plight, so they would just expect Black people to act in that way correctly. But then when you take them out of it, because even her in Suicide Squad as Amanda Waller, like
I was gonna say Suicide Squad is
classic. That's a classic performance. Like there isn't anyone that you can get to play Amanda Waller other than Viola Davis. So she just did it again, and I hope that next year she really gets her due.
Yeah, we'll see. What do you give it though? The movie?
I give the movie honestly like an 8.5. Like a super solid 8.5 in all of its reality, because I just loved how there was just so much dialogue that they had to memorize.
Right.
And there was so much blocking, the movements that they had to know, where they went around. Oh, I'm going to go around this bench before I deliver this line. Oh, I'm going to slam this locker room before this line, or I'm going to do this here, or I'm going to put you up against the wall and then I'm going to flip to the other side. And like those kinds of things are so important to me to like really make us feel like that we're there. You know what? I give it a 9. I give it a 9. It's a solid 9 all the way, because movies like that, you have to pay attention to the acting. It's no camera tricks. It's no special effects. No CGI.
There's none of that in that movie.
It's just straight acting. Nope.
It's just straight drama.
Straight acting, and you gotta love that.
Yeah, because I like how you said the amount of dialogue that I remember, because the movie's only an hour and a half, but so much happens in the hour and a half. Like there's no stopping points. Yeah, it's all dialogue.
Yeah, it takes you on a ride from the jump, and you're just along for it. You don't know where it's going to end up.
Yeah.
What about you, Skywalker?
Well, I give it an 8. I did enjoy it a lot. I was looking forward to this movie when I heard about it the first time, and even it being Chadwick's last film, he really did a great job. And he was able to work with, one of his mentors, Denzel Washington. So, that's huge. One of the guys that pretty much paid for his program when he was going to school. So that it just came full circle, and just beautiful. Just
it is beautiful.
Movie.
He was on this earth to act, man.
Yeah, he was.
He was on this earth to act, and he did everything intentionally.
Great.
He did everything great.
He did everything that you would want as for an actor, and even for the culture.
Mm-hmm.
100%. He played James Brown. He played T'Challa. He played Jackie Robinson.
Thurgood Marshall.
There's so many.
He played a cop.
He played a world of Vietnam veteran.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yeah, you can't ask for any more, and he did well, and it was a really good send off. Mm-hmm. I wish there was more, but.
Yeah, I know, man.
He embodied his accents really well. I think that's one of the things I loved about the movie too, is that his accent as Levy was really spot on for that era and for the person he was. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think then the last thing that we'll probably get from him is What If next year.
The animated.
The animated, which is the last thing that you'd want from an actor. Like you did a blockbuster, you've done your action movies, you've done your drama. The only thing that's really missing is like him in like a romantic comedy or something like that. But it is what it is. We got like everything that we would want out of this actor, and just rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman, man.
Looking forward to those what ifs. Those are going to be fun. But
we're going to talk about that later.
Yeah. So that was
shifting gears.
We're going to. You guys want to get into Soul, since we're kind of already on that?
Yeah. Let's just segue into it. All this black greatness. I love it.
Yeah.
Excellent.
From the jump, the intro of the movie, they're playing the Disney theme.
Yes.
The middle school band. I was like, what is this? I thought it was a glitch. I thought my like streaming was glitching. And I was like, why is it so glitchy? And then you just hear Jamie Foxx's voice like, stay on rhythm, I'm like, oh, it's already starting.
Yeah. I love that part too. And I feel like it could have gone either way. Like you could have either played like a super jazzy, awesome rendition of it, which I kind of thought was going to happen. But then for them to go into like the trash middle school like band, and like I don't know about you guys, but I was in band early, but I didn't stay in band. It was like one of those things where, in fourth grade, you had to pick up an instrument, and I picked up the saxophone.
I picked up the saxophone. That's funny.
Wow.
Yeah, man, I picked up the saxophone, and it was. I had so much fun, but I had no discipline at that time, so I didn't keep up with it. Lugging the saxophone around, I didn't necessarily I practiced a few times at home, and like I broke reeds and had to get different reeds and everything. And like I just remember I did have fun, and I regret it to this day because I wish I would have stayed with it, because I feel like it would have made me an even better musician.
Yeah. Probably.
But it was just hey man.
I'm just saying, I'm just
learning
an instrument changes the dynamic of everything.
Yeah, well, I would have understood music theory a lot sooner than me going to college to understand music theory. I would have had it kind of ingrained in me in middle school and high school, and have different rhythms. But I just thought it was great. It just reminded me of school, and I was like, oh yeah, like I've been in that class.
Oh, that's me. I did that.
Yep.
His comedy, when he goes out into the hallway to get his full-time check or whatever.
You're terrible.
And he's like, oh, thanks. I needed a break from that. And the kid comes out. He's like, hey. He's like, not you. You're great. You're great. He's like, he's not. He's terrible.
Hey, you know what? That nuance is so funny because, and I feel like
Jamie Foxx.
Not only is very Jamie Foxx, but like it's very like black kid. like a black child would turn around and say, hey, like that. Like, because I feel like any other child would just like absorb it. Yeah, just take it and like keep walking. But like the black child turned around with his twist in his hair, was just like, hey, like, fam, what are you doing? Why are you gonna diss me like that? But it's just great, like just that dynamic. And I love that the principal what was Hispanic as well. And it just made it very real for me.
Most definitely. Yeah, I definitely, overall, the movie, I didn't think it was going to move as fast as it did off the beginning. Throughout, it didn't move fast. It slowed down, but I didn't know he was, like, I guess, spoiler alert, if you guys don't want to hear, if you guys haven't seen the movie and don't want to hear this part, just skip, I'd say, like, 30 minutes. But,
oh, dang. not that much.
I don't know. We'll see. If not, just find a place where we're talking about the next.
You should have seen it already. It's great. It's all over.
Yeah, you should.
You have no reason
really
not to see this movie. It's all over the place.
He pretty much dies off the bat, and I'm just like, oh wow, like he didn't even get to do what he wanted to do, and the whole time I was like, is he gonna be in this astral plane? And that's the thing too. Like, it wasn't like heaven or hell. Because he even asked when he got to where he was going, he's like, is this heaven? And they're like, no. And they're like, is this HE double hockey sticks? And then all the little personalities started saying hell. I was like, oh my God. I was like, did they really just say that in a Pixar movie?
It was great.
It almost didn't even feel like a kid's movie.
No, it's far from a kid's movie.
Yeah. It's an adult movie. It's a growth movie. It's like wherever you are in your growth, you can relate to what's going on in that movie.
Yeah.
I think it's because they're realizing that their audience is like, I mean, we grew up on Pixar. So now that like we're at a certain age, it's kind of like a movie we need as far as like the things they were talking about. But also it is super digestible for younger kids. You know what I mean?
For kids too. Yeah. It's very fun. There's a lot of cool little scenes. I mean, Jamie Foxx eventually becomes a cat, and I'm pretty sure kids love that, so
yeah. One of the things, and I believe that I've said it on the pod before, is that I was really, really worried that the first time that we get a black-led Disney and Pixar movie, they kill him, and then two, we would see him as this green blob the entire time. And it's like, well, what was the point of making him black in the first place? Like, where's that representation? So I was really, really scared of where this movie was going to go. And then when they killed him so fast, because they already showed that in the trailer, yeah. But when they killed him so fast, I was like, oh man, okay, here we go. But then him getting back into his body and the body switch that ended up happening.
The way he got back into his body, or the way they switched.
Yeah,
when they went back to Earth, that was cool.
Yes, absolutely. And what I love about Pixar is they're like 4 for 4 in their cerebral movies. Like when they're talking about things that deal with the mind or deal with like our thoughts or our imagination, they kill it. Because Inside Out was great as far as how they interpreted how our mind thinks. Bro, you got to. It's great.
No one looks like it's a kid's movie, like for real. It's like
it was actually the one who told me to watch that. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Science, like the science of how they like interpreted what our memory is like, what our emotions are like, it's really, really good. And I put Coco in that category as well, as being that kind of cerebral, like how do we feel about death? And they picked the perfect culture to illustrate that, and them saying, people don't really die unless you forget them, like remembering them keeps people alive and all this kind of stuff. Like that story is great. And then you just hit them with Soul, where they establish like how do people become who they become? Is this something that you're born to do, or is living life, like the purpose, and they do it in such a way where it doesn't necessarily go into like too many religious tones. It just like adds like a nice, like, oh, wow, I can see this being the case. Like all of us being souls from the very, very beginning. and going through what we go through. Like, I loved how she was like, you guys are going to be self-absorbed. Yep, you guys are going to be optimistic.
Anxiety driven.
Yeah, like it was crazy.
Stop putting so many people through that.
Yeah, he's like, maybe you got to stop doing. Yeah, that was so comedy. I was like, oh gosh, if this how it happens.
It was great, and that's what Pixar does well when it comes to the cerebral movies. Is like, is this how it actually happens?
Yeah,
you know, and like I just commend them on taking on this, because this could have easily went to like a really, really religious place.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people were surprised that it didn't, given that he died, and you know, I think people assumed the great beyond was heaven, which we just don't know. Like, it's just the great beyond, and they crackled, you know, and they became light. Yeah, who knows what's on the other side?
They don't know.
I think Pixar's always done a good job of that, though, because they're great at, what's the word? Like using cultures proper, right? But not crossing that line of religion, because Disney is worldwide, you know what I mean? And there's so many different people, so many different religions, so many different things people believe in. So they've always done a really good job of separating that, but embracing the culture and doing it justice.
Well, it's also because even with the religions that are there, and you know, people should be able to believe in what they believe. However, there are certain truths that are attached to everything that is universal. So like, we know like what a soul is and what a spirit is, even if you don't believe in it being a physical thing. You understand the elements of like when you on the inside are receiving something, you know, or when you're feeling something. And most people attribute that to your spirit or your soul, whether they have a religious background or not. You know, they may not know who it worships or where it goes after or where it goes before, or if the things that we do on earth affect that. But it existing in the first place is something that I think majority of human beings understand. And for them to kind of dive into that part of it and saying, the way that we're going to attribute it is to your spark, to your passion, to the thing that you like, just that brings you life, that makes life worth living, is I think brilliant. Yeah,
definitely bringing in the character of 22. I didn't know Tina Fey. Tina Fey,
shout out Tina Fey, man.
I didn't know she was in the movie. You know, there's a lot of people that were in the movie that I didn't.
Absolutely.
I didn't look at the cast before. I didn't really even look at a trailer other than the one where he falls into the hole and becomes a little blue blob. But she really like showed what a lost soul is.
Yes.
You know, like, there's a lot of people like that don't know what their purpose is, and they go through life trying all these things, hoping that, all right, maybe this will be it, or well, that wasn't it. Maybe I'll try this. Well, that wasn't it. You know, you really don't know what your spark is, but what you really your spark and how you're gonna find out is just by living life. And throughout the movie,
having the will to live.
Yeah, and throughout the movie, 22 realized that it's not about, you know, trying to find the spark. It's about just living, and it'll come, you know, and just living in general is what the spark is. You know, and she was afraid of that. She talked about that when she was on the astral plane. So I thought that was really cool. And then also, what was it? Joe Gardner pretty much being her mentor after Gandhi,
Mother Teresa,
Abraham Lincoln.
It was hilarious.
Muhammad Ali. I was like, wow.
I really thought her spark was going to be food. Only because she was eating so much throughout the movie. And I was like, watch it. I was like, it'd be dope if they like came full circle where he's like, Joe's a little bit older, and then he goes to like a restaurant, and then she's like the head chef or something there.
Part 2.
Yeah. I think that they made it so that there could be a part 2.
Yeah, it's possible.
You know, of like, or you know what? This might actually be like a really cool way that Pixar can do a sequel without even making it the same type of movie. So like, if they do a sequel with 22 as a person who's now on Earth, and then do a different type of movie, but like it's voiced by Tina Fey, she's living in New York, and it's just a different movie that doesn't necessarily have to do with soul, like with people dying, that'd be crazy.
My theory is actually something is like going on in the astral plane or something, and she has to like pretty much go back, and well, she goes back to help them and stuff like that, you know, because there's ways for them to go back even if they don't die. With the guy,
when they're in the zone,
Moonwind. He was able to go back, you know, whenever he wanted. All he had to do was tap into it,
which I thought was pretty cool, because it also allowed the people who believe in spiritualism and, you know, kind of like hypnotizing yourself and meditation to feel seen, you know, where like it was cool because you like the people that were on his crew were like all these types of like monks or, you know, spiritual healers. Yeah. And he's just like, oh, I'm just a dude who's a sign twirler, but like I get into sign twirling so much, I hypnotize myself so much that I can break into this zone, into this plane. And
Joe
Gardner,
did that.
And Joe was able to do that. Yeah,
he was playing the piano. That was nice.
And I don't know about y'all, but have you got like I've performed where I've been in the zone. You know, I've played games where I've been in the zone. Like
I've done that with DJing. Like I just get in the zone, you know, and then I look up and everybody's like having a good time. I'm like, I was just chilling.
Yeah, I wasn't here. I wasn't here for that.
Yeah, but it's like when I told you guys I met John Belly, and like I don't remember that happening, but it's because I like blacked out while doing everything like right. You know what I mean? So I get you. It's very real.
You're just zone out. You're into it. You're literally in it, and you're a part of it, and it's around you. You know, so at all times.
I love how it just isn't just about music. You know, they touched on that in the dialogue. Right. It's like all these different things like that people are in the zone for, whether it's just sports or art or building or, you know, speaking or everything that involves a passion. And like when she hit old girl who was reciting her lines and like hit her with like distracted her, basically, like we get distracted out of a zone and we're like, wait, what was going on? Or like, oh, I forgot this immediately. And to think about that is just pretty interesting to have people interfere with your zone and for them to kind of touch on that. And they shitted on the Knicks, man. It was so sad. It was so sad when they did that. I was like, yo, why? Why would you guys do this? I'm not a Knicks fan. Laker gang all day, but
I've been with this team for the last decade.
I wonder if they signed off on that, man. Like, can you imagine you're just part of the Knicks team, Knicks management. You're just watching Soul with your family Christmas Day, and they just shit on your team one time. Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
I've been messing with this guy for decades.
What's that director that he owns a part of the Knicks? I don't know why I just blanked out.
That owns part of the Knicks?
Yeah, he did.
Who's just a fan? Oh, Spike Lee?
Spike Lee, yeah, he owns part of the Knicks.
Does he?
He probably, he does.
Oh,
he probably saw the movie and was like, "What the hell is?"
Yeah, he was probably mad about that. He's probably
trashing my.
And fun fact, that was Doris Burke who actually said like that line as the announcer when the Knicks when he fell. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it's cool to get like real NBA personality. Doris, she's awesome.
She's awesome.
Doris is awesome.
Knowledgeable. She's really I love her in football too. She's really good football commentator. But yeah, that's cool. They got people. I mean, they got Questlove to be Curly. You know,
sick.
And he was playing the drums. That's perfect. You know.
Yep.
So,
he was a drummer.
Yeah.
And I mean, Angela Bassett, I'm not sure if she's that musically inclined, most likely, but yeah, she played Dorothea.
And she was able to give that story, that motherly story about the fish, and I just feel like that
goes back to Rainey.
Bro, yes, that was the connection for me, because not only that, but also what Ray Gardner's or what Joe Gardner's father, Ray Gardner, said about saying, you need to listen to this. This is Black people's contribution to American society. This is jazz. And when he was able to see it, he developed this passion for it and saw the way he was able to describe how jazz music and jazz musicians bring to life the music. And that was just amazing. And then to hear Dorothea give a parable or metaphor about life of saying, you know, this fish wants to see the ocean, and an older fish is like, you're in it, like it's just water.
Yeah.
And you know, I think a lot of times with us as musicians and people who are coming up and doing these shows, we get this big show and we're like, oh man, this is it. Like,
Yeah.
I quit my job for this. Like, I'm doing this. This is the one. And you do the show and it goes fantastic. Great. Yeah. You're like, yo, this is amazing. And then after you realize there's still a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I'm not there yet.
You want the ocean, but you're in it, you know?
Yeah.
You're in it. You might not be what you wanted, but you're in it, you know, and that's what matters. I mean, as long as you're swimming, as long as you're afloat, you keep going, you know, eventually maybe you might hit the Great Barrier Reef, but right now you got to keep swimming.
Yeah,
you got to keep swimming.
In the words of Dory, just keep swimming.
Back to Pixar.
Yeah.
What do you guys give the movie?
What do you give the movie? Because I heard that you weren't as high.
Yeah, man. It's I'm gonna rewatch it again because maybe I just didn't feel as attached to it like I do normally, and I could have had like higher expectations. But as of right now, I'm giving it like a 7.5.
I give this one a 9. What I really like, I mean, I know a lot of people, like you said, people said it's top 3, people said it's top 5. I'm not really with the list. Everybody has their own list, but I really love Pixar movies when there's humans in the movie, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
I liked Onward. I mean, I know there weren't humans, but they were human-like. I like Big Hero 6. That one's one of my favorite ones. Coco is cool.
Big Hero 6 isn't a Pixar movie. No, it's just a Disney movie.
Disney,
but yeah,
it feels Pixar-esque.
Yeah, like it's the same people that brought Frozen, and, you know, that kind of thing.
Frozen's not Pixar?
No.
Oh,
so what Disney did like for a little while is they started making Disney movies that were just like Pixar movies, like, but it wasn't the same team. It was like a Disney animation team, but they used the technology of Pixar. But
nice.
I'm with you though. I'm with you.
I definitely, just in general, the ones that have humans in it. I mean, I like Toy Story and Monsters Inc. and Finding Nemo and all those movies, but you know, just something about that human aspect is really cool. And then even just with Soul being like on the astral plane, and they have Jerry, all the Jerrys, and then they have Terry with the count. Terry was like he wasn't one of my favorite characters, but I grew to love him just because of how dedicated he was for the count. You know? The focus
that Terry had was crazy.
Going through all those filing cabinets.
He was like, maybe I will. Maybe I will find this out.
There's a lot of Garcias in here.
It's coming when he figures it out and he goes to the Jerry's. They're like, oh, hi, Terry. He's like, don't play dumb with me. I know what's going on. And
here's the award that you requested.
I even I love the design, the simplistic design of the Jerry's, but them kind of looking, exactly, very Picasso-esque and abstract. And I was just like, man, that's brilliant, because it's not human-esque. Because if you would have made them human, then it kind of like, I don't know, it makes it feel like, oh, all humans are superior, but like they're just life forms and things and entities that are a little bit different, but we understand where we pull them from, like where the important things are pulled from. And I just thought it was really, really dope. One of the best scenes, man, was the barbershop scene. I don't know if you guys really, really understand the way that
in barbershops.
It's just the barbershop and that therapy, especially for the Black community, is one of the early jobs where Black people had ownership. You know, like when we were able to work and to have our own jobs, like being a barber was something that guaranteed business, because Black people always needed a cut, always wanted to look fresh, and always wanted to look good. And Black people owned it, you know, and the structure. They couldn't take it. And it was one of the structures in place, like, because the way that a barbershop works, I don't know if you know, but barbers own their own booths within the barbershop. You know, they pay for the booth that's in the barbershop. So just that is a time for Black people to be able to be themselves and to have these conversations, and a barber is more than someone who just cuts your hair. Like they're a therapist at that time. That is when you can have those conversations.
I always talk to my barber when I go get my haircut.
Always. We're talking about all kinds of stuff. My barber knows a lot about me and a lot of the reasons why I make decisions and things like that. And like they're in the Black community, it's rare to find somebody who has multiple barbers. Like they usually have one, or they've had two in their entire life. And it's like, I'm only going to you for as long as you're cutting hair. And like, it's sad if you move, or if you like finding a barber for a black person is like, that's like a whole other thing, bro. It's like a whole other thing.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. Because like you said, everybody has their barber, and it's like, I'm only getting my haircut for you. In the barber shop, when Joe walks in and he takes his hat off, he's like, "Oh damn, this is an emergency. You're going to the front of the line."
Yeah, bro, you gotta wait.
And then he's like, "I've been here the whole time." He's like, "Well, his chair's open," and the guy's like, "Yeah, come over here." And he's like, "Yeah, I'll wait."
Yep. Yeah, because there's always a guy who has it. Yeah, I've been there too, man. A guy who has his chair open, and I'm like,
It's funny. That's how I met my barber. His chair was always open, and I was in a rush that day, so I was like, you know what, just cut my hair. Like, and then after that, I was like, you know what, you can cut my hair all the time now. So I've been knowing him for like 10 years. So
I was in the same barber like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. Like prior to the barber that I have now, and prior to me growing out my dreads. Which, I don't go to a barber as often as I used to, but I had a barber for close to 15 years, like that, a long time that I went to him. And then when I moved, I found a homie who was like more my age, who was a barber. And I've traveled with my barber before. Like we went to Miami to go party. Like it was, we have that kind of relationship.
That's cool.
So it's super dope. And I've told him like, yo, if the music pops off and we're touring and stuff, like, and you want to cut hair, like, come with me on tour, bro. And we're going to run that. I'm like, I'll pay you appropriately tour barber money, to get this thing done. So it's just that kind of connection. And it was so special for them to highlight that in Pixar, and to have Joe, and to have his barber say like, you never asked about me, like, it's something that...
Well, it wasn't Joe who asked. It was 22.
Oh, yeah, 22 who asked, like, you've never asked about me. And that's something that we forget in getting services provided by people. Like, we just go to them for the service. But part of living life is understanding how people are in the first place, and why they do it. And you will most likely always get an interesting story when you speak to a specialist or somebody who really, really loves to do something.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was a good movie. Really enjoyed it. Would you give it?
10, bro. 10? That's a 10. That's a 10 right there. Execution, just all of it was really, really dope. And I'm kind of with you on the fact that like they use animals a little bit too much, in toys. The sense, or toys. Well, like, mostly animals, because I think the next Pixar movie is like they have a pig that's going to be a part of like the movie, so it might be like a talking pig. I think it takes place
in a cat in this movie too.
Yeah, like it takes place, I think, in Italy, and there's a lot of pigs in Italy, so it's like they're going to do like an Italian kind of movie. But Pixar kills it with these cultured movies, man. They just
getting the representation that
so
I'm glad. I'm excited to see a lot more.
Me too.
Pixar, especially with the Disney Plus platform. So, yeah. And
I need shows. I need a Pixar show. Like, I don't want a movie. I need a show. Give me 8 episodes of something that is just fire.
That'd be cool. They could do it. I know they could do it. They just, I don't know what they're waiting on.
I believe in you.
But one more movie.
Was it a 10? It wasn't a 10?
It was an 84, bro.
On a scale to 1,000, I agree.
I feel like people are giving it too much flack. Like, so the movie we're talking about is Wonder Woman 84, and I guess I'll start it off.
Kick us off, man.
I did enjoy it. It was a movie that it came out during the holidays, obviously sold it too. Not a lot of movies came out this year, so seeing a blockbuster in general was exciting to me. There was a lot of flaws in the movie, but off top, I didn't even before this movie came out, I didn't expect too much from it. I've seen Aquaman, I've seen Justice League, I've seen Shazam, and all those movies are not the best. Even the first Wonder Woman, probably like the best DC movie, but even then, it's not amazing. Mm-hmm. So I didn't expect too much from it. So just watching it, I was just like, I'm just gonna enjoy it. Mm-hmm. Just gonna go for the ride, and it wasn't obviously, it didn't live up to everybody's expectations, but because I feel like it kept getting delayed and people wanted it for so long that when they finally got it, it wasn't what they wanted. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, they had to watch it at home, and a lot of people don't have the same attention span, especially if the movie is not capturing you right away. They're probably going to walk away, pause it, go to the movie, go to the bathroom. It's definitely a different dynamic. And I feel like that even for all the movies that just came out, Rainey, Soul, I feel like those movies in theaters would have hit even more than they did. But obviously they already had they had the pull, like Soul and Rainey had the pull to keep you there in your seat. Mm-hmm. But Wonder Woman just couldn't keep people in their seat. But for me, I went to go see it at the drive-in. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't at home. I couldn't pause it and then I'll watch it later type thing. I had to watch it because I paid for it. But yeah. I really enjoyed it at the drive-in. It was fun. I took tamales. I took some snacks.
Nice.
Some drinks, and it was fun. I made a little bed in the back of my car and laid down and watched the movie. And I really, really enjoyed watching Wonder Woman.
So you had the whole setup. The whole setup helped to bring the experience a little bit more alive for you.
The person I went with also said that she didn't enjoy it as much.
She went on a date.
She didn't.
Why do you think you sit in the back seat, bro?
I mean, it was Christmas. You guys don't go on dates on Christmas?
No, I'm with my family. Skywalker.
I've gone on dates with my family to the movies. I went to go see the Force Awakens.
He's trying to switch it right now. He was on a date.
Yeah, no, it was all good. It was very interesting. I love the movie. In that setting, I did want to watch it again at home to see if I missed anything or anything, but already
you missed.
You missed quite a bit, sir.
No, there was a part I actually did fall asleep for a little bit because I was laying down.
Dang. Yeah, see? You falling asleep. That's a telltale sign.
He was an astral plane, bro. He was already
the ending of the movie. So
yeah, his soul was being affected while he was watching Wonder Woman. I get it. It's all right.
He was a wonderful woman. No, go ahead, Mike.
One thing that I do want to say before I finish is one of the things that I really, really liked about the movie was Pedro Pascal, and also the little bit of development that they gave Wonder Woman. She was a little bit more vulnerable than most movies. Wonder Woman's supposed to be like this super badass character that like nothing can faze her, and this one wish that she made pretty much was affecting her so much, and she couldn't let go. And like I like that about her, that they gave her a weak spot, that she wasn't just OP, like how she was in Wonder Woman 1. So that was my take on it, and I want to hear you guys' take on it.
And what would you rate it?
Off top, I would rate it like a 6. Because one thing too is it's not a super badass war movie like the first one was. The first one took place in World War I. There was action all over the place. She was beating everybody's ass. She fought this crazy villain that was super OP too. And the second one was a cheesy 80s movie. So it's so totally different time frame, and I don't really like cheesy 80 films. It started off in the mall, and it's all the cheesy clothing, like all these cheesy jokes.
Keep going. There's a lot. There's a lot of cheese. There's a lot of cheese.
And I think that was one of the things that really made the movie bad, is that they chose to do it in the 80s. So
100%. That was going to be my point exactly, is that they focused on the 80s as if we've never seen the 80s before.
Yeah.
You know, and that to me was just like, fam, the 80s wasn't too long ago.
yeah,
Like, we don't need this
40 years
entire, we don't need this entire thing. And even within like the time frame of the DC universe, because the most recent technically of the DC universe is like, it's like 2017 or something like that, you know? So they haven't gone farther than that. And because they haven't, the 80s is even sooner. And I'm just like,
I blame Marvel.
For why? Why do you blame Marvel?
Because of Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor Ragnarok. They wanted to go for that. DC was like, we can do that, but more 80s.
No,
it's not the same,
that was such a bad decision to focus so much on the 80s. I didn't care about anyone's discovery of what the 80s were like because we already knew the 80s. So I think that was a huge misstep on the film to focus more on the 80s. The problem with the movie for me is they focused so much of the movie time, the runtime, on things that didn't matter. Right. And then the things that did matter, they focused maybe 10, 15 minutes of the movie on each of those things that matter. For example, her all of a sudden having this invisible ability to create, you know, this force field around things from her hands.
That was a cool little nod, though, the invisible mobile.
I agree that having the invisible plane is a great nod.
I had forgot about that. And then when they brought it in, I was like, oh, she does have an invisible car.
I thought that was a great nod. And I thought that because of the time that it was taking place, that would be one of the things that they would highlight in the film. However, the way that they did it was super cheesy and super just like, she doesn't need to do it anymore because she just learned how to fly. So like, why'd you even focus on the time of her having a jet when that should have been her way of transportation going into the future? But now she already knew how to fly. So like, there was no point in even showing us that. Mm-hmm. Secondly, I feel like that the focus on Cheetah's development, though, was cool. I
knew that was going to be a disaster from the start.
I mean, it just, I love Kristen Wiig and how she played her. I think that her making a wish to be Diana is a great way of them not using science to enhance her.
She didn't know the wish was going to happen anyway. She was just joking around.
Yeah, she was just joking, but like, well, she was just sincere. Mm-hmm. Sincere. Yeah, she was just sincere, but I wish this movie was never made. I wish that they never went into this time frame. I wish that they didn't focus on Pedro Pascal's character. The dialogue was atrocious.
For Pedro?
I was like, yeah, for them all. Like the conversations that were being had were ridiculous, and I don't understand if they were just trying to make it all 80s, but like it didn't make sense to me. And then even with her making a wish to have Steve back, like, so
that's what I wanted to know. Like, seeing the trailer, I was like, how did Steve come back? Like, I wanted to know the and then when I found out how, I was like, oh.
And like that's okay. But the thing is that they had him come back inhabiting somebody else. So that's super creepy. And I'm just like, wait, so is everyone seeing Steve, or is it only she seeing Steve and it's some other guy that they're seeing her with?
I think she only sees him.
But here's my thing for that.
Steve couldn't even see himself.
But check this out. If other people are making wishes to bring their loved ones and family back, who are their family inhabiting that looks like that's going to be somebody else? And where are those people at? You know, so like, what if you were just like, just say is like your girlfriend or your mom or someone like that. And then someone comes in and it's like, no, you're the person that I wish back. And like, does your mom go with that person, or does your mom stay your mom with you? You know what I'm saying? Like it just didn't make sense because you didn't actually manifest an additional body. You had someone take over someone else's body or someone else's image.
Well, the wishes weren't
just happen to be single.
It doesn't just appear from thin air. It does and it doesn't. It doesn't just appear in front of you, but it eventually happens. Like the first guy, when they heard like, oh, it's a wishing stone, and he's like, I wish I had a cup of coffee. And the guy's like, yeah, I have an extra cup of coffee. Does anybody want one? It's like, oh, what are the odds of that? But it was kind of like that. It's going to happen more realistically than just appearing from thin air. I think I would have had more of a problem with it like that.
But I think if it happened out of thin air, they wouldn't run into this paradox of like, wait a minute. So if I wish for somebody, is it going to take the place of my brother? Is it going to take the place of my friend? Is it going to take the place of like someone else that I don't know who's someone else's friend?
But the wish alone had consequences. You wish for something, you're going to lose something.
I get that, but it seemed like
hey, I wish for my boyfriend back, and it's like, all right, well, you wish for your boyfriend back, we're taking your brother.
Well, yeah, but on top of that, does that mean that your brother now becomes your boyfriend, or who's like, if you wish your boyfriend back, who's going to inhabit? Like, who is your boyfriend going to inhabit that you are now utilizing to fulfill your wish? That's taking someone else away.
Yeah, I think your brother's gone, and your boyfriend is not your brother.
That's crazy.
I think that's crazy because that's what it seemed like. That's what it seemed like to me. Because in the movie, when he looks in the mirror, he can only see the other guy and he doesn't see himself. But he knows that it's him, and Diana knows it's him because she could see him and hear him.
Yeah, but it just so happened that guy was single. What if he had a wife?
Yeah, well, then
what happens?
Then her wife is fucked. I mean, his wife is fucked. That's just the reality of the wish. I'm not saying it was amazing. I didn't like the whole wish concept. I didn't know that this movie was going to be. I don't know too much about DC like that to really dive into it. And that's like, at the end of the day, I was like, you know what? This is just a superhero movie. I'm going to enjoy it. Because what is this prequel leading up to? It was really a filler movie. And I knew that from the jump. There was nothing that it was going to lead into. It wasn't going to lead into Justice League, It wasn't going to lead into Flash. It wasn't going to.
They had the opportunity for it too. And they chose not to, because that's the problem with DC right now is we don't know in the timeline where things are really taking place.
I think this movie was already written and planned before they decided to do the whole multiverse thing. And now they're just like, let's just keep rolling with the punches. Let's flesh out what we have in the bag and go forward. Not saying that, that's a good excuse to make it like, oh, this movie was good enough. It was okay,
What this movie proved to me is that DC isn't for me. Like it just the problem is that DC's characters. I mean, I feel you, but like the DC characters, you can't humanize them because
they're gods.
They're gods. They operate under different circumstances, and if you try and humanize them, you take away from what makes them who they are. You know what I mean? They need to do the reverse of what Marvel's doing, where it's like Clark Kent, he's Superman, but he tries to be Clark Kent. Batman technically is Batman, but he tries to be Bruce Wayne. All these different things. But how good of a writer and execution person you need to be in order to really tell that story. DC just doesn't have it. And I thought that with the Wonder Woman franchise, they would have been able to redeem themselves because of the first one.
Sir.
Oh, yes, I did. I thought very wrong. Yeah. And there's nothing that they can do. So like, I'm not really looking forward to anything that's revolved around the Snyder universe other than Zack Snyder's Justice League, just to see how that plays out.
And I still don't expect too much from that.
But they need to throw the whole thing away. They need to throw everything that's been done for DC away because it doesn't equal anything. And every movie ends up letting you down, and this one, it just didn't make sense, especially when he started broadcasting everywhere. I was like, so what kind of villains and humans are around? Like what kind of villains and superheroes that are around that are also getting this wish right now? Like, is Lex Luthor looking at this and making a wish? Like, is Joker looking at this and making a wish? Are they alive right now?
In the 80s.
Is Superman? And so when you have something that's that destructive and that crazy, and this is the problem that happened with with even a Marvel movie with Age of Ultron.
Well, they talked about the wishes that that stone ruined civilizations. They would make a wish, and then within 20 years, that civilization was no more. You know?
No, I feel that, but it just seems like that the consequences of what happened in that movie should permeate for the rest of, and maybe not the rest, but for a long time. And that was kind of the thing with Age of Ultron, is that you had Ultron and he like went into the internet and had access to codes and had access to all these things, right? But the gravity of certain situations, you have to make that make sense. And in Age of Ultron, they didn't really make that make sense because the gravity of what he was doing was like so catastrophic that it's like that would go a lot more. You know what I mean? But with this movie and wishes being made to the entire US in all these different languages, it just it didn't really work. It didn't really work. Yeah. And I think that when you have something that's that dramatic, you can't just not acknowledge that. That's why Endgame and Infinity War is so amazing, because snapping the half of the world would cause certain consequences. Yeah. So I say all that to say that this movie gets a 3 from me. It is a 3 out of 10. Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot is, she's beautiful. I think that she's a great Wonder Woman, but I think that they did her no justice. The pun. It was trash. It was trash. Didn't like it.
Yeah. What about you, Sincere? What do you give it?
No, I give it like a 4 or 5. Lean more towards like a 4. I didn't really enjoy it. Kristen Wiig kind of ruined the movie for me as well. I expected a like stronger performance from what I was like reading and different things like that, but
I don't like her at all.
It just felt like an SNL skit. It just felt like an SNL skit.
Yeah, I don't like her character at all, or even the actor for that character. But what do I know? I don't know anything about DC. So
I mean, when she turned into Cheetah, it was cool. But like again, superhero movies
only got one wish.
Well, she was just that's what I thought too. That's what I thought also.
That was a huge plot hole for me. So I was like, she gets another wish? That doesn't make sense.
Maybe because she made the wish as the stone, and then when the stone turned into him, it like resetted everything.
I do like Pedro Pascal's role though a lot. But
I feel like him being a father and that whole thing, like I understand trying to provide a growth for a villain, but I don't think it's really needed. Like it wasn't really needed.
His son didn't look like him. He like hated his son. Like he.
I mean, it's okay for it not to look like him, but
that's not.
But it's just like
I was more worried about the CGI than his.
What I was really hoping, what would have been a saving grace for this film is if everyone renounced their wish besides Cheetah. Like if she just was like, nah, like I'm good where I'm at and how powerful I am, then it would have made her like a villain, like because she's a major villain for Wonder Woman, like. It's like a whole thing, and I think that she looked great. It was just they fell into that what is that stereotype of having a superhero or supervillain turn into what we know them as in the last 20 minutes of a movie and then dying.
Yeah, that always happens. It happened with Green Goblin, but
yeah,
life is good. It can be better. All right, so let's move on. Movie. I love that line from Pedro Pascal, but
just stick to being the Mandalorian, man. That's it.
He was in that Sharkboy and Lava Girl movie too. I haven't seen it.
My mom was like, doesn't even look like him. I was like, he has no mustache. That's what it is. The mustache makes the person.
Yeah. So let's. So now that we're done with movie talk, we're gonna get into a quick 2020 recap, and we're going to also go through our awards in a second too. But off top, I just want to say 2020 was very interesting. It's different, had us building in different ways, even for movies, watching movies and the way they came out. Now they're coming out on streaming services and the movie theaters at the same time. That's what HBO Max is doing. It was cool that, you can still go see the movie in theaters or the drive-in, or you could see it at home in the comfort and the safety of your own home. But I feel like
it's unprecedented, bro.
Yeah, what I mentioned earlier, like not being able to see these movies in theaters has really brought the value and the quality of them down a lot. Not everybody has the same surround sound, the same 4K TV, the same chair to enjoy a movie. You know, some people have different ways of viewing movies when they're at home. So it definitely brings the value of a lot of these movies down. I feel like if Wonder Woman was in theaters, people would have liked it a little bit more, but you know, it is what it is. And that goes for a lot of other movies. I saw a few movies at the beginning of the year that I like more than, you know, the movies that came at the end of the year. And we're going to get into those as well. But, you know, my recap is, it's okay. You know, I saw a lot of good movies. I saw a lot of good shows. And I hope 2021 continues to move forward in the movie game and streaming game. So we'll see how it goes.
Like, I was really, really impressed with how the movie industry just kind of pivoted for 2020 because it is unprecedented. Like, we've never had movie theaters shut down before, you know, and they had all these slates and all these movies and it super sucked, you know.
007, Black Widow. Man.
All of Disney, and even the Star Wars movie was supposed to be out, you know.
The Quiet Place 2 movie. Oh my God, I was looking forward to
there's so many blockbusters that got moved or got postponed, and what the Eternals was supposed to come out this year. All these different things, Black Widow, like how you said, and even with that, we still got like a good amount of movies that were able to push through, you know, and able to make a dent, to make an appearance, where like Sonic the Hedgehog, you know, with everything that was going on with that at the beginning of the year, us being able to see Tenet, you know, there was a few other movies, and then really the streaming networks got to step up and say, hey, we have these movies that are featuring, you know, people like Charlize Theron or Mark Wahlberg or, you know, Jamie Foxx, or, you know, all of these other actors that would typically have an A-list movie come out. They said, here you go. Here's a streaming movie that's really, really dope. So, you know, with our first segment of its kind, we feel like we need to give the flowers and the awards to these movies this year, because this was the hardest year to put out a movie. So we have our Soundflick Awards, or AKA the Flickies, as Skywalker Mike put you know. So we have these different categories. We have Score of the Year, the Score of the Year category, who made the most memorable music and best music in our opinion. We have the Movie of the Year, of course, that we were able to watch. We have the Surprise Movie of the Year, the one that was just like, yo, didn't know it was going to be as fire as it actually was. This is great. Yeah. And then we also have the Show of the Year, because due to the theater shutting down, we got a lot of time to watch some shows. And to be honest, these streaming networks are making shows into just long movies that are amazing, that are like 6-hour, 8-hour movies that we're looking at. And there's a ton of good shows that have been coming out this year and that will remain coming out. So I want to throw it over to my man, Ace Sincere, to let us know. We'll go through the first category, Score of the Year.
Score of the Year. Okay, guys. So we've kind of touched base on this on our last previous episodes, but the score kind of makes the movie, right? Whether it's diegetic, non-diegetic, meaning if it's a part of what's actually happening or if it's actually just being used to kind of give that emotion. Skywalker kind of talked about you watch scenes without the music and it doesn't do anything justice. And you get people like Ludwig, you get people like Pharrell that watch these movies and know exactly what they need to do progression-wise, know what sounds they need to use. So each of us picked different movies and different scores. Wait, just to clarify, are we doing shows as well or just movies for this category?
I think score in general, you know.
Yeah, you can do score in general. Yeah, score in general. Cool.
Sweet.
Technically, it's a movie score, but it's understandable for this year.
So what? Well, plus audience, we want to hear from you as well. We want to know if you guys have other suggestions than we do or what we think.
Yeah, you guys
so please do so. Yeah, send us everything you guys think. But for myself, I'm going with Mulan with score of the year. Mulan didn't really get as much hype as other movies. One, it being a live action version of Mulan. Two, no Mushu. A lot of people are mad that there's no Mushu. But shout out to the composer Harry Gregson Williams. He's from a composer from the UK. He scored Mulan. I think it's very well executed as far as the movie goes. It being very beautiful and fitting the culture of what that movie is about. He did a really good job of using all those things, from the fight scenes to it just being her having conversations at home and kind of just capturing her aura, her family's history, and all that good stuff. So Mulan would be my choice for score of the year.
Good choice. I enjoyed Mulan a little bit. I wish it would have came out in movies. I think I would have liked it a little bit more. See, it always goes back to
True. It makes you want a home theater. It makes you want a home theater because watching it from my smart TV is not doing it justice.
Yeah, but that's a good pick. I like that. I'll go next. My score of the year is, I feel like it's a little obvious. I was also the first one to put my choice into the doc, so I chose Tenet by Ludwig Göransson. His score really changed the whole dynamic of that movie. You know, I know Hans Zimmer was always working with Christopher Nolan before that, and Christopher Nolan for once was like, you know what, let's give this kid a try and see what he can do. And he really just went in on Tenet with the dynamic, grandiose sound. And it's crazy because I was just watching Wonder Woman and he did the score for that, and Hans Zimmer and Ludwig,
Zimmer did the score for Wonder Woman. Okay,
yeah, they have a very similar sound, so it was really not interesting, but it was cool to see that Christopher Nolan trusted somebody with the same sound but different dynamic to bring the score and bring the movie to life for Tenet. So that was my decision. That was one of our favorites of the year, so I thought, why not throw it in there, you know? And we did that Ludwig episode, so
that dynamic reminds me of like Pharrell and Tyler, the Creator, between Hans Zimmer and Ludwig. You know, it's kind of like using the same kind of sounds, but like freaking it in a way that's current and that's more experimental than what Hans Zimmer would do, or like what Pharrell would do, you know? Exactly. So I feel you on that. I feel you. For me, my score that I chose was Soul. And Soul, very, very recent movie that just came out, but I loved the jazz that was in the movie. But more so, what I really liked, aside from the jazz, which is very evident, is the kind of soft techno music that they threw in during parts in the astroplane or you know, in the Great Before, or different things like that. And
when they would open the portal and it just it was like, oh my god, I don't want to go there.
Bro, it's so cool. And like the duo who did that is Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, which they did original score for The Social Network, and which I thought was really, really cool. And then you also have John Batiste, and he was the one who wrote all of the jazz music for the film. So to have like an Academy Award winning duo who you know, did that film, the original film, or did like those parts, and then also having like a jazz musician adding those parts, it was just a really, really good blend of how this film was both, you know, human and in this spirit world, this soul kind of world, because I think jazz in that world would have been a little off. So like, I'm glad that they made the proper distinction between the two with the music and with the coloring and everything like that.
Yeah, the title of the movie Soul is definitely a double entendre. Soul as in like human soul, and soul as in music soul. So exactly, I thought it was really cool. That's what I thought. For some reason, when I saw the title, I thought it was strictly going to be about music, and I was like, oh, like a human soul, you know? So that makes a lot of sense.
Totally.
But those were our scores of the year.
Yes.
Again, let us know if you guys have a favorite score, let us know what your score was and what you liked about it. And and yeah, maybe we'll tap into it in the future.
Yeah.
So the next category is movie of the year.
Hey,
And this is all of 2020, and I didn't really know it, but there were so many movies that came out, and you really couldn't tell, obviously, because there wasn't all these trailers on the TV like coming out this Friday. Like I remember watching TV like every week. It's like a movie coming out, and it would be like next Friday this movie's coming out. It's like, oh, okay, that's cool. So this year we didn't really get that, so I didn't really realize how many movies came out. But my movie of the year was a movie that literally came out in January, like literally like one of the first movies that came out, and it just caught my eye right away. I think I've seen it like about 3 or 4 times already. And it's The Gentleman. That's the one. It has Colin Farrell, Matthew McConaughey, several other top A-list actors. And what I really, really liked about this movie is the different vantage points. And it was a movie about
that one also. Did it have Hugh Grant too? Hugh Grant was in it?
Yeah, Hugh Grant was comedy in that movie.
Yeah.
So that movie is like about weed, or it was supposed to be about marijuana, which it kind of was, but they didn't tap into it too much. They didn't make it the main focus. It was more about power and power in the streets of London, and how it operates, and the different vantage points of each gang, and the different stories that are being told, and some of it's being made up on the way. And, you know, some people know the true story. Some people know, hey, this is just what I saw. You know, this is what I know.
Yeah. So, this is the myth, the legend of the streets.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there was a part where he was like, and then Dry Eye shot him in the face, and it's like, okay, that's not what really happened. Tell it how it happened. He's like, all right, I just wanted to make it a little bit more exciting, but blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So I really like the different vantage points that it was giving us, and
you know,
that
was really good dialogue.
Blew it out the water. Colin Farrell was awesome, and his little minions. It was cool.
Cool. Yeah, I think that The Gentleman was a really, really good movie. And it seems like it was so long ago because of how crazy this year was. But yeah, we saw that at the top of the year, and we all knew like, okay, this is going to be great. And I remember doing the podcast.
I think I've said it several times, like that's my movie of the year. And I was going to go with some more recency bias ones, but you know, that one's the one that really stuck to me.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you picked that one. That was a really, really good movie and could be easily forgotten. But it's one of those movies where like once it hits HBO or once it hits like just a streaming network, you're going to be happy that you clicked on it to watch.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's really cool. For me, my movie of the year was from Netflix streaming because I felt like I gave this movie of the year because I felt like Netflix really just kicked it up a notch this year. They understood what happened and they pivoted really fast. I don't know if this was what they were meant to do, but I give them just so much kudos for providing us with top quality movie entertainment from our home. For having a lot of these actors that you would see in huge movies in their movies. And they've been doing that since that Idris movie that they had. I forgot what it was called. It was like something that had to do with Africa. But Idris Elba starred in it. And that was like one of the first times that they did like a movie that was produced by Netflix that could have been picked up by like a studio, you know? And they've been doing that constantly. They've had Mark Wahlberg, they've had Jamie Foxx, and this movie is where they had Chris Hemsworth, and it's called Extraction, and it is produced by the Russo brothers. And for the Russos, you know, they obviously did a lot of the Marvel movies, Infinity War, Endgame, and they've done Winter Soldier. And so they did this movie with a Marvel alum, Chris Hemsworth. But what was so cool to me about the movie is that it took place, you know, on location. So it's international. I believe it was in India. So it got to show you that culture. And the way that it was shot and filmed was there was so much action, and so you were so involved in it with this kid, and you had betrayal, and you had all these things that I don't know, man. I was in it. I love the movie.
Yeah.
I thought it was dope. I think that that it builds on itself and that it can be something that can continue. So I just wanted to shout them out for that, because I feel like that was the movie of the year for me, due to the circumstances of what was going on and how appreciative and how refreshing it was to kind of see that story, that war story, that mercenary story, and Chris Hemsworth playing somebody so different than what he's known for playing, and you know, and getting that done. So that's my movie of the year. Yeah. Sincere, what you think? What's your movie of the year?
Yo. Movie of the year. It's gonna be Onward for me. I know a lot of people weren't digging Onward, but I loved it.
I don't know. To those people, you suck. That movie was great. It made me cry at the end. Tear up.
Yeah, shout out Spider-Man and Star-Lord for holding it down. But
I feel like Tom Holland and Chris Pratt. You know, because of the pandemic, it kind of like was slept on a little bit.
Right. Well, Onward was the last movie we saw together in theaters before, like pre-COVID, right?
It was like the last movie to come out.
We went to the theater in Montana. We're chilling. But Onward is super dope, from the dialogue to the lesson in the story to it being very mythical. I don't know. I think that's what got me too, is that the mythical use of how everything felt real and how magic kind of died down, and then they actually helped bring magic back. Plus the score was amazing. Just everything about that movie just feel good. And again, kind of like Skywalker, I teared up at the end. If a movie makes me tear up, then it automatically becomes one of my favorite movies. So
they didn't even show the dad's face when we teared up.
Yeah, what
they even talked about. Yeah, I guess. Or what they even talked about, and like just seeing him talk with his dad made me tear up. We've never met him ever, so that was a very touching story. Brotherly quest, brotherly love.
But plus they made a huge Cheeto puff, which like hyped me up because I really wanted one. So Onward's gonna be my movie.
I forgot about the year.
Nice. I feel it. All right, so let's move on to the surprise movie of the year. What was the movie that just took us back, flipped us around? We were like, whoa, okay. This isn't what I was in for, but I'm glad that I'm here.
Yeah, definitely. You want to kick it off? Go for it.
Sure, I'll kick it off. My surprise movie of the year was kind of a tie, and the second one comes because of how recent it was. But the first one I just want to say is The Old Guard, which is another Netflix only film starring Charlize Theron. And I just really, really like that story of them being like kind of immortal in a sense. Mm-hmm. And what made me feel like that it was the contender for surprise movie of the year was how in depth the story got. Like it kept making turns where you thought it could have just like evened out. Yeah. You know, it could have just like went parallel and they were like, all right, yeah, there's this scientist that wants to kill these people who can live longer. But then you discover that like, oh, well, like he just wants their blood so that they can do some pharmaceutical things. Then you discover that like somebody who's working with him has like another motive. Yeah. And then you discover that, oh, there is people before them that were a part of it, and you learn the backstory about those people. They didn't have to go into that, and then they have it come all full circle by bringing all of the things that they talked about into this new focus where they can make a sequel from it. Mm-hmm. And it's now akin to like X-Men, or it's akin to like Wanted, or it's akin to like this kind of cult of people who do amazing things and save the world in secret. And I just thought that it wrapped it up so well while presenting a new villain that
superhero movie.
It just wasn't what I expected at all. Like they could have made that the most flat movie of just full of action and that's it. But they really took it there and they really built a universe. And so I had to commend them on that. And so that's like my main surprise movie of the year. But my second surprise movie of the year, of course, is Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. I just didn't expect the film to be shot like that. You know, for it to be so stage-like, for it to be so theater like. And I just really, really commend, as I was watching it, I just kept getting more invested. And I was just like, man, this is just so dope. Oh man, like this blocking, like, oh, they turned like this and they did. Oh wait, is this being all shot in the same spot? They're going back to this place. Like, it just really took me on a journey.
Yeah.
With these characters, which I appreciate.
Yeah, nice. You want to tap into yours, Sincere? Your surprise?
Yeah.
movie?
So this movie is my surprise movie for multiple reasons. One, it was technically the highest grossing movie of the year, but that's because it was pre-COVID.
Which was a surprise.
It was it was a surprise. Also, the movie itself had some surprises in it. So shout out to Bad Boys 3, Bad Boys for Life. This
Bad Boys 3, Bad Boys 4. I still hate that title.
Yeah, I was like, wait, is it Bad Boys 3 or 4? It's Bad Boys 3. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, no.
But no, shout out to Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, man. I remember I saw this movie twice. I went to the drive-in. Since I wanted to drive it, I didn't watch it too much, so I went to go watch it a second time. And it was just as good as watching it the first time. From the action to it creating a story more about Will Smith's character, kind of get him more in depth and kind of seeing out him being outside of like a bachelor and whatnot, and kind of seeing where they are now because they're technically OGs in the game and having to deal with these younger kids coming in using all this technology and you know what I mean. So it was a really good movie. I really enjoyed it. A lot of people didn't, so you're kind of I have nothing to say to you, but
I didn't think that he was gonna get shot, so that was a surprise. I was like, oh, okay, you just get blasted. Real quick.
They killed off the captain. That was a surprise.
Oh man, now that's a spoiler alert. I didn't say who got shot, but if you haven't seen the movie,
it's been out for almost a year. That's on you.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. So my surprise movie of the year is something that just came out. I think it was like 2 weeks ago or a week ago. It was a movie directed by George Clooney, which surprised me because I was like, I didn't know George Clooney was out here directing movies, and it was a space movie. I really love space movies. It was called The Midnight Sky. So pretty much this movie takes place on Earth and in space. And pretty much Earth is trying to find a new Earth because pretty much Earth is going to shit. The oxygen is not breathable. And
like in real life.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you pretty much get into that. You can't even live on the surface. You have to live underground in order to survive. And it got to a point where the movie takes place in the Arctic Circle because that's where they have some of the space stations for the satellites, so they can talk to the astronauts. Pretty much, they went to a moon on Jupiter, and they're trying to inhabit it there. And they finally find the planet, and it's perfect. But Earth is already done. Like, they did it too late, and it was really heartfelt because in the movie, George Clooney plays one of the main characters, and he's the guy who found out about the moon and that we can go there and live there. And he's not even able to go there. He dies on Earth because he was sick. And it's a really, really heartfelt movie. There's a lot more different elements to it. It's more of a drama than anything. And, I just, I didn't think it in a way, this movie surprised me because I didn't even know it was going to come out. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was just going to be one of those, just like another Netflix movie. But, every time Netflix drops something, I guess they're just surprising us in general. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people are not expecting Netflix to be dropping these blockbusters, but the fact that they got George Clooney to direct a movie for them, and who knows, maybe this movie would have came out in theaters if it wasn't for the pandemic, but still, I enjoyed it. It's called The Midnight Sky. If you haven't seen it, go watch it on Netflix. It's really cool.
Nice. All right, guys, let's wrap up our Flickies awards with show of the year, the Flickies, with our show of the year. Sincere, kick us off.
Yeah, man, this one caught me by surprise. I've watched a lot of shows this year. A lot of it's been rewatching, so trying to tap into the newer stuff.
I saw that you changed.
I did change, yeah, because I was thinking about it a little bit more. So originally my show of the year was gonna be Big Mouth, just because Big Mouth that show has everything, man. It has everything from musical numbers to great writing, great comedy. But there's actually one show that actually got me a little bit more intrigued based on the person. A lot of people were hating on this, but a lot of people came around. So shout out to the Selena series on Netflix. It is based around Selena, the singer who passed away when she was 23. She was shot. Of course, everybody knows the movie Selena that kind of got JLo her start, where JLo kind of started off. And a lot of people were against the show because it wasn't JLo, right? Everybody expects Selena to look some type of way, or they already have the preset minds of what it was like. But the show gives so much backstory of for when her and her family were doing gigs when she was younger, to their like her dad's like backstory of what band he was in. It's just very well put together overall. Plus the score and the acting is A1. It just really hits home for me. So the Selena series was actually my show for the year.
Nice, man. I definitely have to check that out. Love Selena. Rest in peace to her. For my show of the year, I picked Queen's Gambit, and that is a show on Netflix about a chess prodigy and a drug addict. It was starring I forget her name. To be honest, I think it's Amy.
She's so fine. She's so fine.
She is. But she was also in New Mutants, and she played Magic in New Mutants. But she stars as this orphan in Queen's Gambit who is addicted to these pills, but these pills have made her be able to focus in chess matches that are just unprecedented. And she's out here knocking out all of these chess champions and chess players, professionals who are predominantly men. All of them are men. And this was at a time when women weren't playing chess, or people didn't expect women to really have an interest in such a game and to use their logic and their wit. And the movie or the show just has a lot of drama, a lot of twists and turns as it goes through. And it's definitely a good show. You know, if you like chess, if you play chess or anything like that, you'll find it exciting. And if you don't know anything about chess, that's what I liked about it, is that it'll inform you about the game.
It teaches you.
You know, it teaches you about the game. So that was my show of the year.
It's a fun game to play if you haven't played it. You know?
Yes.
It's more fun than checkers.
I'll stick to checkers.
No.
I hate checkers. It's not fun.
No?
It gets boring.
Chinese checkers?
Chinese checkers is pretty interesting, but regular checkers just has no strategy. Chinese checkers is like it's pretty interesting, just like on how you can move, but still chess is the that's like just top of the line type of game, mind game.
Well, I actually had like 3 different shows that I was going to choose from, but the one that really stuck out to me this year was Lovecraft Country. Mm-hmm. That show just really brought in so much. It brought in history, it brought in drama, it had some action, it had some horror, and it was some great actors in it. Off top, I can't really remember a lot of the actors' names, but you know, just the storytelling, like from episode to episode, had different dynamics, mm-hmm. and each episode like left me wondering what's next. After the second episode was done, I thought, man, is this the end of the show? But it just kept bringing new turns and new twists to the show. It really just threw me for a curveball, you know?
Yeah.
And
I love the history.
And if you haven't watched Lovecraft Country yet, it's a really good movie. It's based off of a book, and it's on HBO Max. Go watch that.
Shout out HBO Max.
Very, very exciting show. You know, it'll leave you wanting more. And there is a season 2 coming. I think it's in the works. It's being written right now. So I'm very hype on that. So
awesome.
2021, I believe. Mm-hmm.
Well, we're going to have tons of shows next year to fill up that category. So it's going to be very, very fun. This is our first Soundflick Awards that we've given for 2020. And the
Flickies are in the mail.
Yes, they are in the mail. But next year we'll definitely narrow all of these things down, and we would love to hear what some of your votes are. We may even open up the votes to all of you listeners, just to make it a little bit more interactive and stuff. And we're not going to snub at anybody. We'll actually go by where the votes are and talk about that, because we got integrity. But that wraps up our Soundflick Awards segment. Guys, let's do a quick recap not a recap, a quick looking forward to.
Yeah, I have some quick honorable mentions for 2021 that I'm looking forward to. I definitely want to see Dune. My most anticipated movie, which was supposed to come out this year, was 007, No Time to Die. I really, really wanted that movie to come out this year. But I'm going to have to wait till next year. So, I mean, from any of the quick honorable mentions, is there anything you guys see or anything off the top of your head?
I'm really looking forward to just Marvel making an appearance next year with Black Widow, with Eternals. Yeah, they got Eternals, Black Widow, even Spider-Man that's going to be coming out at the end of next year, and a handful of shows that they have prepped. So I'm really, really excited for what they got going on. Just for and then Space Jam 2, trying to see what that's going to be like. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to the movie industry getting back on track now that 2020 is over.
Yeah, we'll see what they have in the works. Anything you're excited for, Sincere?
My prayers are, I'm excited to go back to the movie theaters and be able to hang out with you guys a little bit in that aspect. But for sure, just anything Marvel based, definitely shows. Even though things will get back to normal, I kind of don't want to leave the house, just because I have my studio space now and I have all my subscription services lined up, ready to go. So I'm just really hyped to see what the new year brings. But if I were to be hype about one thing, it's probably Venom 2. Just because I'm ready to kind of see Spider-Man and Venom in the same movie, assuming there's going to be an ending cutscene that Tom Holland's going to pop in and Venom's going to finally attach itself to Spider-Man, which is where he gets his basically his animation that everybody knows him for, right? The white outlines on his suit, having the spider logo in the middle, and him getting those powers kind of just like similar to Spider-Man. So I'm very excited about that. But of course, anything Marvel.
Yeah.
So
nice.
I have a theory that it might not even be Tom Holland, that it might be one of the other Spider-Man that they bring it back.
I think it'll be Miles.
Don't you dare. Don't you?
Miles.
No, I agree.
Miles would be dope. Or they might bring back Andrew Garfield, because we don't know what happens in Spider-Man with the multiverse of madness and how that affects everything.
Well, I think off the Spider-Verse movie, with him going to all those portals and getting Gwen Stacy to help Spider-Gwen and all that, I think they're leaning towards the live-action Miles Morales movie. But we'll see.
It's going to happen. Yeah.
I'm with you. All right, guys. Well, this has been our last pod for the year, episode 38. Thank you so much for everyone listening and being a part of this whole crazy year with us.
Thanks for tapping in 2 hours of this episode.
This is great. Hopefully we can give you guys more content coming into 2021. We're going to really start just revamping what we're doing and adding more to it. And it's just great that we were able to make do with 2020 being so crazy as it was. So we just want to make sure that you guys are following us on Instagram at Soundflick Pod, on Twitter at Soundflick Pod. Listen to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Anchor, anywhere that you listen to podcasts. Support us individually on our Instagrams and on our Twitters. And we will be back next year, 2021, freshly new, renewed, ready to go.
Rejuvenated, ready to go. Yeah.
That's right.
Before
Rejuvenated,
we go,
ready to go. What's up?
A song just came out that has You and I on it.
Oh, yeah. Yes, it does.
Let's end the year with a bang.
Let's end it with it. Heck yeah. Shout out Diesel for an awesome song that is called You're Dope. And that is featuring your boy, Norik Thascool, A Sincere, and Aries K with the angelic vocals. All of us together on a song that is going to be off of Diesel's new album called Love Hurts, and Hertz is spelled Hertz. So you already know we're getting into those frequency vibes. But yeah, we can end the podcast with that. Anybody else have any last remarks? All right, love to you all. Happy holidays and peace.
Peace. Happy New Year.
I'ma touch you where I know you like it, and it's clear that we're both excited. I know that I ain't your type, but light up your life, be the highlight of your night, take you high in the sky. We can go through the clouds till the rain down. You've been surrounded by hounds, don't let none of them around. Just get rid of them clowns, rid of them.